Well, it's the next day, and I had to make a road trip to get a piece of fuel hose, a new piece. I'm a little worried about it, only because I went to auto parts stores, and this fuel hose said 50 pounds per square inch on the rating, and oil pressure on this tractor, could be 50 pounds. I don't like no margin, so I went to a farm store, and they had this other hose, that fuel hose, that said it was rated 200 psi. However, the hose is not marked. That's what it said on the box. So it also says fuel line not for underhood applications, and I don't know what that means. Temperature, maybe it's a temperature thing. So now at least it's not rock hard feeling. All right, let me get the screwdriver. We're going to take this one off, and I'm also going to see about maybe bending the line a little bit so these two line up better. I do not like this, having this S curve in it like that. It's going to end up being a two-handed operation here, but we'll show us loosening screws. Man, that's really high-tech work here. Loosening some hose clamp screws up. I probably have to cut this, as my guess. It's that stiff, it probably won't slide off. I'm pretty sure this was an all-one hard line and it broke or something. I should probably look at the other end up underneath. I believe this goes up under the dash. I don't know if there's another hunk of hose up there. Should probably take a look after, well, maybe even before trying to bend that hose, just in case. Maybe it pulls up higher and there's something else that slid. Hang on. All right, we'll lift it up the hood. And it's been a while since I've looked under here. I had the head off of this a few years ago, and additionally the top apart again like 2 years later to do the head gasket and a retorque on it. So I should be familiar with this thing. This thing is not designed to be easy to get the valve cover off. You got to tear the whole steering shaft out, which involves getting your hand somewhere up in there to take the U-joint apart up in there. But at any rate, here's this oil line, and we can see it has a pressure hose with a crimped on end fitting. Boy, that looks like, if that goes, got all kinds of fiddly-fee parts to replace, or just replace it with something else. At any rate, yeah, hard line down here, and then over to the oil pump. So I'm going to take that hose off of there, off camera, because that's going to need two hands, and then maybe tweak the bend on it a bit. So apparently there was always a piece of hose here. There's a barb on each end of this tubing, so kind of want that to be in its little clip here, which is kind of not very clippy. So I'm gonna probably tweak the bendage on this one. Although I wonder if it used to be bent up higher and it got pushed down. I don't really want to bend anywhere near the fitting up there. It's some kind of compression fitting, and a fat chance of getting those parts. You'd have to, yeah. This metric tubings and fittings and things seem to be hard to get in America. 30 years ago, I worked in a lab, in an R&D lab, and we had an exhaust gas analyzer that was made in Germany, and I think it used some size of metric tubing and compression fittings, and you could not buy that stuff anywhere. I mean, I remember this was the days before the internet. I'm sure it'd be a different answer then, but in those days I went through, I don't know how many catalogs, called I don't know how many places, trying to find fittings for that. And in the end, we ended up making something in the machine shop, just because it couldn't be found. But I'm gonna try bending this up a little bit to take that sharp S out of this hose, and we'll go from there. I tweaked it a little bit, and looks like I want to cut it about there. Yeah. Okay, two-handed job again. Well, hose cut the length, installed, hose clamps tightened, and then I'm kind of looking at this little holder here, and that is so big, it's just flopping around in there. I wonder, I just don't like this at all. I wonder, I'm almost thinking there might have been a piece of rubber around the pipe, and then it was stuck into this clip. The clip's made out of plastic, so, or well, maybe it isn't plastic. Maybe it is some kind of hard, well, not super hard plastic. Maybe I'll slit a little piece of leftover hose and jab around in there, maybe. Or maybe I can find a zip tie if I have one. Not sure I do. We'll put that on there. And then look at this other thing. This is obviously a repair. This is the fuel. This is the fuel pre-filter. I believe it goes through here first before it goes to the one over by the injector pump. So that must have been leaking. Yeah, they got this really hard plastic fuel line on these things. So this one must have broke up here, and it's got this piece of hose on it. Again, more something here. And yeah, they're really a fan of these banjo fittings. Alright, let me go see if I have a zip tie for this, and we'll call this one hopefully done. I'm gonna definitely looking at this stuff very carefully here, make sure it doesn't blow. Oh, lucky day, I did find some zip ties, so I wrapped one around here, so this shouldn't be rattling around as much, vibratorying. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to put the hood back down and think about trying to start this thing pretty soon, huh? It's been a long time coming.